What a beautiful Monday morning. The birds are chirping, the sun is shining outside, and I wake up to see Stephanie White getting dragged through the mud for being a snake oil salesman, aka a liar, all online. Oh, what a great day.
She's been exposed. The mask has completely slipped off in Indiana, and what was supposed to be a triumphant championship run has overnight transformed into a full-blown locker room disaster. The clips you're about to witness. Music, are not your standard coaching blunder. This is the precise instant an entire fan base woke up and realized they were handed a complete and utter scam. Brand new, deeply troubling footage from Stephanie White's media sessions has just hit the internet, and Caitlin Clark supporters are now in full investigation mode, digging up old quotes and exposing the staggering double standards of the Indiana Fever head coach. We're talking shattered promises. We're talking abysmal basketball philosophy. We're talking about a coach who is methodically dismantling the single most devastating weapon the WNBA has ever witnessed, the screen and roll. Throughout the off-season, the Fever faithful were sold the idea of a total revolution under Stephanie White. She was crowned a basketball mastermind. She was the supposed schematic wizard destined to unleash the ultimate version of the Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston tandem. Then the opener against the Dallas Wings arrived, and it was a brutal offensive slap in the face. Fans stared at their screens in disbelief as the most lethal two-player action in contemporary hoops was simply scrubbed from the script. Once the online community started peeling back the layers, searching for answers, they unearthed a string of interviews that have ignited a complete firestorm, and the fan base absolutely erupted after this.
What this Indiana Fever franchise does best. So she goes on, she talks to Renee Montgomery. They not like us, they not like us. And she says, oh, well, teams are expecting the pick and roll. We gotta change. We can't do the same thing over and over again. I mean, y'all have only done 13 games together last year, so you don't really establish anything. And then we have Stephanie White's introductory press conference. Oh, Stockton and Malone, the pick and roll game. Oh, we have the two best.
Let's cut straight to the chase, shall we? Music, and roll the tape, because the evidence here is utterly damning. Stephanie White recently appeared on a high-profile sit-down with Renee Montgomery and basically handed every rival in the league a personal roadmap on how she planned to torpedo her own offensive scheme. Right there on camera, White flat-out declared that since opposing defenses anticipate the pick and roll, the Indiana Fever just can't keep running it. According to her, the team has to completely reinvent its offensive DNA because other squads might be ready for what's coming. The moment those syllables left her lips, an audible groan reverberated through every corner of the internet. The statement was so basketball illiterate, so detached from any sliver of logic, that viewers genuinely suspected AI manipulation. You don't ditch your most devastating tool simply because your opponent saw it coming. That's not how elite athletics function. That's not how dynasties are forged, but what unfolded next flipped everything upside down. When you possess the deadliest weapon on the floor, you keep deploying it until somebody actually demonstrates they can neutralize it. And guess what happened all of last season? Nobody could derail the Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston screen game. Not a single team. It was the most unstoppable sequence anywhere in the WNBA. And when your offensive nucleus is that overwhelming, defensive scouting reports become utterly meaningless. It works.
Yeah, I think creating space for C and AB to do what they do in the two-man game, you probably aren't going to see it necessarily on the first side of the floor anymore. Everybody's game plan is ready for that. I think playing through AB as a...
What the hell did you just say? What did you just say? You're probably never going to see it again.
You probably aren't going to see it necessarily on the first side of the floor anymore. Everybody's game plan is ready for that. I think playing through AB as a hub and inverting some of those actions. I mean, she showed last year that she can be a point forward.
Consider the all-time legends across every sport. Did Phil Jackson tell the Los Angeles Lakers to stop feeding Shaquille O'Neal in the post simply because every defender knew the entry pass was coming? Of course not. They dumped it inside and dared anyone to do something about it. Did the Minnesota Vikings shelve Adrian Peterson in his absolute prime just because defenses were stacking the box with 9 men? Music, absolutely not. They kept handing him the rock because true greatness can't be schemed away with a clipboard. When you're blessed with a once-in-a-lifetime player, you make the opposition adjust to you, not the reverse. You don't proactively wave the white flag on your signature action out of paranoia, yet, Stephanie White appears convinced she's the cleverest mind in any building she walks into. She openly admitted that supporters won't really be seeing that two-player game on the strong side anymore. Her plan, instead, is to anchor everything through Aliyah Boston, flip the entire offense, and basically reduce Caitlin Clark to window dressing. She's trying to reinvent transportation when she already has the keys to a Lamborghini sitting in the driveway. That's the moment everything escalated into something far uglier. Fans were already boiling over, but then the internet sleuths uncovered the mother of all receipts. They tracked down Stephanie White's debut press conference, that critical moment when she needed to court the fan base and earn their faith.
This is what I do best, and it's up to you to stop it. This is what I do best, and it's up to you to stop it. She needs a drug test. Straight up. She needs a drug. People knew what Stockton and Malone were going to do. Pick and roll, pick and roll. She needs a drug test. She needs to get tested. Somebody test her, please. Go to CVS, get an over-the-counter drug test. What? She needs... Wait. There's only coffee. What's in your coffee cup, Stephanie? What's in your coffee cup?
At that very introductory presser, Stephanie White stared right down the barrel of the cameras and dropped the names of pure basketball royalty. She likened Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston to John Stockton and Karl Malone. Music, just absorb that for a second. She put them in the same sentence as the most devastating pick-and-roll partnership the game has ever produced. She stood up at that podium like a slick used car dealer, vowing to fans a historically dominant two-player attack. She peddled the fantasy of unstoppable screen and roll basketball. Then, in the season debut against the Dallas Wings, exactly how many pick-and-rolls did the Indiana Fever actually execute? 2, maybe 3, on a generous count. They totally walked away from the very identity she leveraged to land the job in the first place. The hypocrisy is just breathtaking. You cannot stride up to a microphone and invoke John Stockton and Karl Malone in one breath, then turn around and openly confess in another interview, music, that you refuse to call the pick and roll because defenses know it's coming. Everyone on the planet knew exactly what John Stockton and Karl Malone were going to run for 2 full, music, decades, and not a single defense in the league could figure out how to halt it. And the fans absolutely combusted after this section of the game.
A dummy. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you guys were the best two-man game in the league. Oh, nobody can stop your pick and roll. We're going to go away from that. We don't call that a great coach. We call that a dummy. And we have people telling us she's an elite ball knower. My ass, elite ball knower. Sheesh almighty.
She should have been let go this past off-season. And frankly, the on-court product was precisely what anyone could have predicted from such a calamitous coaching ideology. The Indiana Fever looked utterly fractured. Caitlin Clark, the most electric distributor in the world, appeared visibly fed up. She was getting shifted off the ball. She was getting parked in the corner while the offense ran through unrelated sets that honestly resembled Stephanie White running defense against her own roster. It looked like she was deliberately stifling Caitlin Clark's natural genius purely to validate her flipped offensive blueprint. And the supporters are absolutely not having it. The fury online has climbed to heights we've genuinely never witnessed before. People are demanding her firing after a single contest. They're drawing parallels to the previous coaching staff, with plenty arguing this fresh approach is somehow even worse than what they endured last year. When you've got people on social media seriously requesting drug screenings for the head coach because her offensive concepts make zero logical sense, you've got an enormous 5-alarm crisis on your hands. But here's where things took yet another wild turn. The mythology surrounding Stephanie White as some elite basketball intellect is collapsing right in front of everyone. Friendly media outlets are working overtime to give her cover. They're publishing think pieces explaining why shifting Caitlin Clark off the ball is actually some galaxy-brained, high IQ chess move. They want everyone to swallow the idea that defanging the most dangerous offensive threat in the entire league is somehow part of a grand strategic vision, but the fans aren't taking the bait. They recognize legitimate coaching when they see it. A real coach pinpoints the absolute best feature of their roster and exploits it relentlessly until the opposition collapses. A clown, as the viral commentary so brilliantly captured it, strips away the best feature of their squad's arsenal purely to demonstrate intellectual superiority. Stephanie White is out-thinking herself into oblivion, and along the way she's pushing away the most devoted fan base in all of athletics.
Who's taking the lead today, guys? The lady is an absolute psycho. She's a nutcase. She's on some type of medication. She is, man. Like I can't pull punches anymore. I can't pull punches. I can't. She's just not it. She's just not it. And it's even more frustrating when you see people defend the shit, calling her a great coach, calling her a good coach, calling her an excellent coach. If I have Peyton Manning,
would I rather have Peyton Manning sling the football 30+ times in a game? Or what must the locker room atmosphere honestly feel like right now when stars are commanded to surrender what makes them special? When they're asked to embrace a system that's clearly failing, resentment metastasizes at warp speed. How much longer before Caitlin Clark glances toward the sideline and demands the rock back? How much longer before Aliyah Boston recognizes that setting elevated screens for Clark is exponentially more productive than standing motionless as a hub at the elbow? This goes way beyond a flawed game plan. This is a complete betrayal of the basketball identity that resurrected the Indiana Fever as a relevant franchise. Stephanie White marketed the fans a vision of John Stockton and Karl Malone, and instead served up a horror show of overthought, overcooked, totally impotent basketball. The heat on this coaching staff entering the next contest is just astronomical. If they don't immediately reverse course, if they don't put the basketball right back into Caitlin Clark's hands and let the two-player action thrive, the fan base will torch the internet to ashes. They're done with excuses. They're done with these clever defensive justifications. They want the once-in-a-generation phenom they were promised, and they want the coach to step entirely out of the way. We absolutely need to hear your take on this enormous controversy. Did Stephanie White straight up deceive the fan base, or is she just attempting to install a sophisticated system that requires more patience? Is sliding Caitlin Clark off the ball the most catastrophic coaching call in WNBA history, or are supporters losing their minds over a single rough outing? Pour your most unhinged, unfiltered reactions into the comments section below. We genuinely read every last one. Hammer that like button. And if you crave the legitimate, no-holds-barred reporting on the WNBA that mainstream outlets are too scared to deliver, hit subscribe on WNBA Pro right this second. The saga is nowhere near finished. Catch you on the next one.